Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Elevate Your Life podcast. It is Thursday, Cheryl, which means we are talking about leadership.
Well, there's nothing better to talk about on a Thursday.
Well, there's nothing better to talk about than explosive growth.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. What I can't believe is that we are already at law number 20.
Yeah, we've been cruising right along here. I'm getting kind of sad now myself. Yeah, this is last one next week. Legacy.
Wow. Well, these two might be my favorites. I mean, I've had a lot that are my favorites, but
just the word explosive alone is already got high points in my book.
Absolutely.
And then, I love growth. So you put those two things together and you can't go wrong.
Win-win.
Win-win, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So what is this law of it? So we're following John Maxwell, 21 Laws of Leadership. This is law number 20, as Cheryl mentioned. We have our notes at elevateyourlife.com. You can get these notes from this podcast. But Cheryl, tell us what this law number 20 is all about.
Well, I think what it's all about is to add growth, you can lead followers, right? So it's just you leading a team, leading a group of followers, people who don't really want to be leaders, but they just simply want to follow whatever you're talking about, whatever you're doing. But to multiply growth, and I think this is where the explosive growth comes in, then you as a leader need to lead leaders.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I think the most fascinating thing that John said is that 95% of leaders never develop other leaders. They just bring more followers in.
But I don't think that's weird.
No, it's probably, makes sense.
It makes sense.
I'm the leader. We're bringing new followers in. I'm not bringing more leaders in, so. But John is always, whether he's going into a new church or new company or new whatever, first thing he does, goes in there, develop more leaders, because that's how we're going to explode this thing and have great growth.
Well, let me tell you what I like. So John said he's always trying to, hand the reins over.
Yeah.
Let me teach you how to do it. Let me train you how to do it, and you take over. Now, I love that idea. Like that's always, I said it a little bit different. I said, listen, I would love to train you to take over what I'm doing, but I will be in the back clapping for you and excited and be there to support you. So I think that it's the same thing, but I just didn't ever realize that that's what it was.
Well, it's, a lot of people need, so we all have the 6 human needs. Yeah. And the need for significance is important to all of us, but we all get it in different ways. Right. So I think a lot of leaders get their significance from, hey, there's more people joining, and the last thing they want to do is have someone succeed them, take over what they're doing. Especially in corporate America, you're like, I got to pay who want to pay. But that is such a backwards mentality. Your significance should come from how many leaders have you created? Right. And that's where I get all my significance from. And I know that's where you get it from. And then we get to sit in the back and cheer all these great leaders on and live a great life, so it's,
I love it. And I think the whole key is to train other leaders to do the same thing, right? Because it's one thing for us to do it, but then we need leaders who train leaders.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And who lead leaders, which I think is such a great concept. I love it.
Absolutely. So we may have mentioned once or twice that Cheryl and I own the Institute of Holistic Health. We have a health coaching program, health coaching certification program that we've been doing for years. And in this certification, in the Institute of Holistic Health, we have 3 different types of people. We have clients, of course, people who want to get healthy. We have coaches who coach clients how to get healthy. And then we have CEOs, kind of like franchises, where they go out and they're not looking for clients. They're looking for more coaches to build a business and have a coaching franchise, where they have a lot of coaches there. Of course, those coaches are getting clients. So they have clients in their organization as well, in their business as well, but they're not necessarily looking for clients themselves. So, and in our institute, you can be any one of these 3 things, or all 3 of them, or 2 of the 3, or whatever, it's totally up to you. But what we're seeing a lot of, Cheryl, is that a lot of coaches come in and they are focused on just finding clients, which is fine. Was what we exist for, is to help people get healthy. But there's a new breed of people who are like, who get it, that understand that massive explosive growth doesn't come from necessarily adding on more clients. It's from bringing in more coaches. And then if you got hundreds of coaches, of course, your business is going to explode because of the law of explosive growth.
Right. Well, and I like knowing, and we do know this, that 80% of the people, like you said, they'll come in and they will only want to work with clients. That's it. They just want to, and look, in any other health coaching program, that's all there is. Right? That's it.
Absolutely.
You're a coach and you work with clients and you trade time for money.
Yep.
That's what it's about. So we're a little bit
nothing wrong with that.
No, there is nothing wrong with that. And that is something that you can do here too, but there's just a couple of other options that we have too that I think are so neat. So we know that 80% will work with clients, but 20% will want to be leaders who lead leaders.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what that is. And they go out and look for those coaches instead of just clients. And the thing that I love about that, Paul, is that as you do that, you can reach more people. Right. Our whole goal is not just to reach, 25 or 30 coaches or clients, but we want to reach 25 or 30 coaches, because then those coaches reach those coaches that reach those coaches.
Yeah. We all have a limit. So Cheryl and I have been coaches for years, and, we could help a couple hundred people, directly, a big client base that we have personally. But when we got 200 coaches,
right,
and each of those had 200 clients, that's where you can see the multiplication factor in that. So Cheryl and I had to make a big change in our lives and focus more on leading leaders than finding clients. And we still take on clients. Don't get me wrong. We love helping people with their health, but we spend the majority of our time, 80% of our time, bringing in new leaders, new coaches, new CEOs, because we know that's going to explode things, and has exploded things from having that mentality.
Right. And that's what I love, Paul. So let's talk a little bit about leaders math versus followers math. I really, really like this. I think it's such a great concept. And it all starts with, so leaders who attract, so we're going to go over, and we have a graph here. You guys can get the notes at elevateyourlife.com. Just so that you can see the graph that we have here that I think is so neat. And I think it really explains perfectly exactly what happens, so we can really drive this point home. I think it's so important. So on the left, if you're looking at it, leaders who attract followers, and then leaders who attract leaders. So, and I'll just do the first couple, Paul, and then you can take over. So leaders who attract followers need to be needed.
Yeah, which we talked about, the need for significance. And that's how they're filling it. They're filling it by bringing in more followers, and people need them, which makes them feel significant. So there you go.
Right. And they're not looking for anyone to take over for them or anybody to.
Oh, no way. That's the last thing they want.
Right. They want to be the top, the main person.
They want to be it. Yeah.
Okay. And then let's talk though about leaders who attract leaders. They want to be succeeded. Yes, please.
Yes, that's what it is, and it's, I don't know why you and I get that so easily, but other people don't. But hey, we got the pom-poms out. You want to be surrounded by people who are better than you.
Oh yeah. It makes a huge difference. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So leaders who attract followers, they develop the bottom 20%. It's anybody who's, I need help. I've got a problem. Help. Anybody raising their hand, right? And then leaders who attract leaders develop the top 20%.
Yeah. It's so true. I check my voicemail, and it is loaded with people who, have all these questions, which I've answered like 10 times already. But none of my top leaders, they're too busy to talk to me because they're out building a business.
Right.
They're like, Paul, we love you and everything, but every time you call us, you kind of waste our time. So I'll send you a Christmas card. We'll keep in touch, but I'm out working, so developing those top 20%, that's where the cream of the crop is. That's where all your explosive growth is going to happen.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that though, Paul, is I think, like you said, those are the ones that don't really need you. And so I think sometimes we slip into that, let me help you
Yeah.
mode. And I think that's sometimes how we get stuck and caught. I've been stuck and caught a lot of times before, like down in the bottom 20%.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily mean they don't need you anymore, because we keep growing ourselves. So we
Sure.
keep learning new things, and we always have to stay a couple steps ahead of them so that we can help them grow. Again, it goes back to that lid. If the lid is here and they're here, there's no room for growth. But if you and I continue to grow ourselves, then we're able to add value to other top leaders.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So leaders who attract followers. This is one of my favorites. Focus on weaknesses.
Yeah. What's the problem? Yeah.
Yeah. What's the problem? How can I help you fix it? What can I do? Now, leaders who attract leaders focus on strengths.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah, it's so true. But it's so easy to look for what's wrong, and what's the weakness in things. But when you find someone's strengths, I think the best example is a football team. You can't have your quarterback play lineman. He wasn't made to be a lineman. He was made to be the quarterback.
But it's not going to work out very
well. No, you can't have your lineman be the quarterback. You can't have your lineman be the running back. You can't have your lineman punt. All these different positions have very specific people that play them.
And they take the time to find out what their strengths are and put them in those particular roles.
If you're 375 pounds and you're good at pushing people, you should be on the offensive line. This makes sense. That's their strength,
Yeah.
Let's not turn that guy into a wide receiver now. Okay.
Yeah. So let's focus on strengths. I think that bottom line, that's what that is. Cause I think that it's just better as we do that. So leaders who attract followers, again, treat everyone the same. Everybody's the same, no matter what. We're going to treat everybody the same. Now, leaders who attract leaders treat everyone differently. And I thought this was so interesting. This is all about finding out what the strengths are, finding out who that person is, finding out their likes, their dislikes, what they're good at, all of those different things so that you can treat them accordingly.
Absolutely. We value everyone. Everyone's value, God's child, value everybody. But and I think this is a big change in your leadership, Cheryl, that I've seen, is that you were someone that was, hey, let's treat everyone the same. Let's not exclude anybody or anything like that. And
I'm an includer.
Yeah, I'm not. So I'm very good at treating everyone differently. Yeah. So it's something that's got to be learned over time. But we ask you to just do some self-reflection and say, what am I doing? Am I really doing? Am I treating everyone the same, or am I treating my top 20% different?
And I want to make sure that you guys understand that we're not saying treat everyone differently as far as kindness goes.
Right.
Or anything like that, because, you want to be kind to everyone.
Right. But there's only 24 hours in a day. So you got to spend your time with the ones that are going to have cause the explosive growth.
Right. Okay. Moving on. Leaders who attract followers spend time with others. Leaders who attract leaders invest time with others.
Yeah. Wow.
Spend and invest. That's really huge. That's a huge difference.
Huge wording right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's really like bringing in, we've both created this inner circle of people, and we're just investing in them and pouring ourselves into them. It's kind of like Jesus with the 12 disciples. I mean, he just really wanted to spend his time with those 12 people. And he knew that those 12 people would go tell the rest of the world.
Right.
But you got to really invest and pour yourself into your inner circle, which I think is the most important law there is here in the 21 laws.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about growth now, since we're talking about explosive growth. Well, leaders who attract followers grow by addition. So we've got 1 + 1 = 2. continues on, which that's, again, that is a fine way to continually add to your team. But leaders who attract leaders grow by multiplication. Now that's a huge difference too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
This last one is the real one that moves me, Cheryl.
yeah. So leaders who attract followers impact only people that they touch. And leaders who attract leaders impact people beyond their touch. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great because I know when we develop leaders, they're going to go out and touch thousands and thousands of lives that we could have never done. Just sheer time restraints is I think we get, we did some math. We work like 100,000 hours a week. Now there's only 168 hours in the week. So like, well, how are you working 100,000 hours a week? Well, we have X amount of people working 10 hours each. And that on our team. So we're actually reaping the benefits of hundreds of thousands of hours of work per week. Then people are like, what? That's crazy. But that's what we're talking about here. That's how you have explosive growth. That's how you become a top leader, is by spending your time developing the leaders around you.
Yeah. Then there's a couple of other things here, Paul, that I love. I love if you develop yourself, you will experience personal success. That makes sense.
Yep.
If you develop yourself. Now, if you develop a team, your organization will experience growth. Absolutely. Now, if you develop leaders, your organization will achieve explosive growth, which is where we want to be.
Yeah, and we referenced a book before called The One Thing. So the main thing about the one thing is keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is developing leaders. That's what we're all about here. We're raising leaders' lids. We're focused 100% on that because we know that that's what's going to get us the biggest return.
Yeah.
And in that same thought pattern, so the top 20% of your team, your leaders, is going to give you 80% of your return. I mean, that's huge, so it's so in the bottom 80% of your team is going to give you 20% of your return. So that is, when you look at it that way, you're like, whoa, I got to really spend my time with the top 20%.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, you guys, now's the time to think about and get down. You've got to grade yourself or rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, where you're at in these different stages, right? So where do you find yourself developing yourself, which we do that all the time, Paul, right? I mean, we continue to do that.
You have to. Yep. Growing yourself is the number one thing.
Yeah. So that's super important. Developing your clients. Absolutely. Stage two, developing the clients. And then stage 3, developing leader. And remember, focusing 80% of your time on the top 20%.
Yeah. So which stage, just look at your schedule really and see which stage am I spending the most amount of time at? And maybe make some shifts in that. Of course, you got to spend time on stage 1. And of course, we spend time on stage 2, but we're spending 80% of our time on the top 20%. And that's where all our successes come from.
Yeah. That is so awesome. Okay, Paul, homework.
Homework time. We got to grade ourselves on the law of explosive growth. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how explosive is the growth in your organization right now? If you're running a business or a church or organization, whatever it is you're doing, would you say it's explosive growth? So a 10 would be the whole thing's blowing up. I mean, people are rolling in, everything's going fantastic. Or it could be a little lower than that. And I'm willing to guess, Cheryl, most people are going to score a little bit lower in this one because they haven't quite grasped the 3 different stages and spending 80% of their time on the top 20%. So it's okay if you score low, and this doesn't matter what the number is. Pick a number, and then that's where we're going to work on. And so
it's a starting point.
It's just a starting point. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And like, I know your favorite word is awareness, Cheryl. Once you're aware of it, you can make the adjustments and really master this law. This is not a hard law to master. It's just you got to understand the concept.
Yeah, absolutely. Do that. And then we want to read this chapter. If you haven't had a chance to read this chapter, make sure that you do that. And then also get ready because you need to read the next chapter. And that is law number 21.
Yeah.
Legacy.
Yeah. We're going to give you a big homework assignment with that. Something
It's a good one though. It's super important and it's
yeah,
really
it'll
good.
change your life. Yeah.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah. So our plus one to end up the podcast here today, to elevate your leadership, you must spend time with the top 80, or I'm sorry, the top 20%, so you can get that 80% return.
Awesome. And as you do that, Paul, you can move from fine to fabulous.
You sure will. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon. And we'll be back on Tuesday for our mindset podcast. See you then.